Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes, and this is just a video discussing my empathic observations of this election, this US election, some spiritual guidance, and we'll pull some cards here. And I actually have 3 decks here that I'm going to use. One is the Jungian Tarot, just to look into the psychology of the results of this election. The other deck is the Carolyn Mace Archetype cards, just to see what archetypal, or archetypal as some people say, lessons are. And then I'm also going to pull a card from the Goddess Knowledge cards. I don't know if you can see that because the sun is moving. And for those who follow my blog, you may know that I had 2 Changing Woman Goddess cards, so I pulled one of them out for this reading, so I had an extra card in this deck, and I did write about that on my blog, which you can check out. The link is below if you're interested in that. But first let me talk about my empathic observation from the results of this election. So when I went to bed the night of the election, Hillary was ahead in the polls. I only checked once. I tend to not look at the news much anymore because it can be too much. And when I woke up in the morning, I could feel it. And I could feel it around the globe. I could feel a silence in the air, a quietness, a solemn quietness. Not quite sadness, very solemn, and shock. But the quietness, the quiet atmosphere in the air that I could feel around the globe was very similar to the feeling after 9/11. And it's interesting that yesterday, the day after the election, was 11/9. And I feel that's significant, that it's a cycle that is now coming to completion. It's not done, but the completion has begun. And for those who follow my YouTube videos regularly, you know in the last 3 weekly oracle card readings, both the Wheel of Fortune and the World card came up. 2 cards of completions, endings, cycles coming to completion, karmic cycles wrapping up, making the way for new beginnings. So the results of this election is to trigger that completion to bring about new beginnings that involve growth and expansion for all of humanity, for the global community. I also want to point out, to see the bigger picture here. We live in the realm of duality. There is light and dark, there is, you could say, good and bad, there are highs and lows. Our human reference point to many things is based on contrast. And we can't have one without the other. It's like the yin and the yang. We can't have the yin without the yang. They must come together. And that's a big part of our karmic lessons and experiences here, is to learn to work with this realm of duality. And when the opposites work together, then there's wholeness. And they're not separate. They're part of the whole. Now the results of this election is to give us a big contrast. And sorry about my dogs running around, they're very playful this morning. And it does feel like it's a wake-up call as well. And what I see in my mind's eye is the Judgment card of the Tarot, so we'll see if that comes up in the little reading I'm going to do, which is death and rebirth, which is endings and new beginnings, completions making way for the new. And this large wake-up call is a catalyst, it's a trigger for each of us to now live the contrast of that, which is love and compassion, and to spread that, to let that grow, to encourage love and support of our fellow man, our fellow animals, of the planet itself. See it as a catalyst to inspire you, each of you, to be and live more compassion, more love, and more growth. Now, I also want to talk about the word wake, because I feel like, I'm talking about what's happening in the wake of this election. And wake has three meanings. One, it's, like when a boat goes through the water and the effects of the water after, the ripples, the way the waves are forming behind the boat. So you could see it as the after effects of the election. The second meaning is wake as in to be awake. And I feel like in the wake of this election, we are called to awaken, to rise up to a whole new level. And that, again, I'm seeing the judgment card in my mind's eye. To rise up from the grave, to rise up out of the darkness, into the light, and to be that light, and to share it and spread it so all of humanity can grow. Now, the third meaning of wake is as in awake, the prayer, the devotional observance of when someone passes away. It's not the funeral, it's a devotional observation, a prayer service for one who has passed. And again, that's repeating this death leading to rebirth, change coming from completions and allowing the new to begin. So we are in that process. It's a transition, transformational process. And again, I feel in the wake of this election, we are called to send out prayers, to pray for the changes, and to rise up and awaken ourselves to new levels. Okay, I hope that helps with a bigger picture. Now let's look at some of the cards. Let's start with the Jungian Tarot. And I think I'll just pull 3 cards for now. Just looking ahead. Hope, guidance for us, and possibly insights into what is coming as the result. And some cards flew out, so we're going to have more than 3 as a result of this U.S. election. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So the cards that flew out, well, actually 3 cards flew out. Very amazing. Okay, so we have 2 cards of completion here. First of all, we have the 10 of Pentacles. And 10 is a number, we call it a number of completion, but 9 is really the completion. 10 is the moving into the 1, the new beginning. So this is just affirming that there is things, the old way of being is wrapping up. Even though we have elected someone who is very much of the old patriarchal mentality, you could say. Again, it's a catalyst, it's a trigger to help bring this to completion. Okay. And then we have the World card. It comes up again. It's speaking to the completion that leads to the new. And I often mention in most tarot decks, and we have one here, we have a circle, a 0 in the World card, which leads to the 0 of the Fool, where anything is possible. So all potential, growth and expansion, awakening to unknown heights is possible because of this. And then we have the King of Pentacles. Now, King of Pentacles is very much a fatherly figure, all kings are, but one that provides for us. And I feel like this is speaking to not so much, I want to say it's speaking to the government. It's speaking to to people working together. And I also feel like it's speaking to the universe saying, we will work together. There are people in government, maybe not everyone, that will work for our greater good. and that the universe is watching over us like a father. You could say God the Father if that resonates with you, to provide us with the protection and the means we need for our growth. Okay, so those are the popper cards. Now the 3 cards that I pulled here, okay, we have the 7 of Wands. And this did just come up in this coming week's weekly. Be brave, be courageous. Stand up for yourself, but don't fight. Don't contribute to anger, hatred, and fear-mongering. And I have to say that, there's some spiritual people that I've connected to on Facebook, and yesterday, very disappointingly, they responded with hate and anger, saying all Americans are racist. That is not spiritual. Stand up for your spiritual truth, not the ego. The ego gets angry. And it's okay to feel that anger. That must be processed. It cannot be suppressed, or it does override your spiritual path. But stand up for your spiritual truth. Acknowledge when you feel angry, and ask yourself how you can transmute that passion into compassion. And that came up quite a bit in the Chakra Tarot reading, so do check that out. But be brave, be courageous. Yeah, we will rise up. So what I'm seeing is, like in the Rider-Waite and a traditional tarot deck, in the 10 of Wands, there is a guy standing up on a hill above the other wands. You don't see the people below. We will rise up. Be brave, be courageous, but don't encourage anger, fighting, conflict, and fear-mongering. See this as a catalyst, a reminder of the contrast that is potentially there, so that we can grow, so that we can expand compassion around the globe. Okay. The next card here is the Hermit. Trust your spiritual guidance, trust your inner light. Turn to spiritual practices to help through those difficult times. When you're feeling angry and you're feeling upset and you're feeling frustrated about what's going on in politics, turn to spiritual practices. Practice awake. Practice a devotional observance. Pray for what you wish to come, and actually pray for what is coming. And honor, whether you like it or not, honor what is passing away. As I always say, how you end things, how you say goodbye to the old is how you invite the new. Okay. And then we have the 4 of Cups. Now the 4 of Cups is about having gratitude. Be thankful for what is in your life right now. Be thankful. Be thankful for this catalyst of change. And again, invite in what you wish to receive with gratitude. Okay. So those last 3 cards are going to help kind of individually, day to day. But I do feel prayer, spiritual practice, turning within. When you're struggling, when you're frustrated with what's going on in politics or in your personal life, when you're angry, acknowledge those emotions. Ask yourself why you're feeling those. Does it trigger something within you of a past experience? And work with that. Work to heal that within you, and it's easier to deal, to manage, to work with the things going on externally. Okay. All right. Now let's pull, let's say 2 archetype cards. Just to look into archetypal healing, challenges, anything we may need to work with individually and globally. so one popped out. Interesting. And so I'm going to pull another one there. Okay, so the card that popped out while I was shuffling, interesting, is the damsel. I won't comment on that, but okay, the light attribute of the damsel is understanding the nature of healthy romance, inspires you to rely on yourself. The shadow attribute is waiting for a knight to provide for you, seduction by romantic illusion. So the biggest message I'm feeling here is for us to not behave like damsels in distress, to not be sitting passively by, waiting for someone to save us. Now, a damsel is also an archetype that very much plays into patriarchal society. And another thing I empathically picked up all day yesterday, and I kind of had teary eyes all day, was women, minorities, the gay community feeling fear for who they are. And the damsel here is saying, don't sit by passively expecting someone to come rescue you. It's also, don't stand up and create conflict and contribute to the hate and fear-mongering. But stand up, rise up, and show through example, show through how you are, how you live your life, love and compassion. And one thing I learned when I was a teacher, and I've taught small children all the way to adults, is that no matter who you're working with, who you're interacting with, the greatest way to teach is by example. So don't play the damsel in distress. It's a passive role that almost encourages those who wish to control others. Now, the second archetype card here is the visionary. Now, it's interesting, they're both, I don't know how well this shows up on camera, orange. And the orange is just making me think of the sun and light and goodness. So see that as an affirmation. So the visionary, the light attribute, is capacity to envision what is not yet conceivable to others. Willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain. And that's the call of awakening. The shadow attribute is selling insights to the highest bidder, compromising your vision to make it more acceptable. So don't sell out. Don't sell out. Don't play the damsel and sell yourself out. Step up, rise up, envision the growth and expansion that you wish for yourself, for those around you, and for the whole planet. And if collectively enough of us are envisioning that, change can happen sooner. Willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain, again, through love and compassion, not because you want to get ahead in the world and be like a Donald Trump who's just all about money, 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 image, 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 but to help others. Okay, a call to rise up, stand up peacefully, to understand the anger and frustration that may arise, to process it, and transmute that energy to fuel the passion to be a visionary for yourself, for the world, however it plays out for you in your everyday life. Again, teach, show by example. Okay, and lastly, let's pull a goddess card. Just because a big part of the contrast here is to show us, to trigger, to be a catalyst of moving away from patriarchal society, which is actually an unhealthy masculine energy, to strengthen the feminine energy and to heal the masculine energy. We need to have those healthy and in balance, not one or the other. Okay. All right. And one card did pop out. So the one that fell out while I was shuffling, I'll have to read the back, but this is the picture. And it's Sedna. Sedna, which means the one down there, was once a beautiful Eskimo woman who lived with her father. None of the local suitors appealed to her, and she refused to marry until a fulmar, or a type of bird, from across the sea promised to take her to his home of luxury. When she found she had been deceived and was ill-treated, she begged her father to take her home. As the two were crossing the water, a flock of fulmars caused a huge storm to arise. Sorry, the dogs knocked that over. To save his own life, Sedna's father threw her into the ocean. As she clung to the boat, he chopped off her fingers, which turned into whales, seals, and all the mammals of the sea. Sedna descended to Adlivun, the Eskimo underworld, where she now rules the dead. To ensure that she will continue to send food to hunters, shamans descend to visit her, comb her hair, and massage her mutilated hands. Sedna is a reminder of the nourishing gifts that are to be found deep in the dark, cold places that we fear most. So I feel that last sentence is the most significant here. She is a reminder of the nourishing gifts that are to be found deep in the dark, cold places that we fear most. And that's a reminder of the contrast that we are facing right now. It's interesting all how she kind of was the damsel. And the message is to rise up and be you and show by example. We don't need to be subject to the control, to the fear-mongering. Okay. Now the other card that came up is Eve, which also seems very significant. This is what the card looks like. The word Eve means life. The goddess Eve is the mother and nurturer of all life. She is the creator of the world and of all living beings, lady of the beasts and steward of all growing things. Even in the Bible, she is portrayed with a snake, a potent symbol of the vital life force found in every living being, representing rebirth and regeneration. In one of the Gnostic texts, it is Eve who calls Adam to life. Eve is the embodiment of primal female creative energy, of the powerful urge to create and sustain life. She is active femininity and relatedness to all that lives. She is life itself. So I love that Eve is the card that I pulled, and I feel like that is saying, the balance of the masculine and the feminine is coming. Be life. Life is nurtured by love. Life is nurtured by light. Nothing grows without the light of the sun. Nothing grows emotionally without the light of love. So I hope this little sort of life coaching reading and discussion brings hope to many of you. The overall message is that change is happening. Changes are coming. And be what you wish to see in the world. All right, everyone, thank you. And again, if anyone has any other suggestions for other types of videos, you can email me or leave a message in the comments, although I'm not getting all the comments on YouTube. All right, thank you, everyone.